Right now, the candidates vying to become the state's next governor have a difficult choice. They have to decide which issues to go all in on to convince you to show up at the polls in November.
And they're going to be doing a lot of this in advertisement. These issues you're going to hear about many times over in those ads between now and then. 11 Alive's Doug Richards explains why Republicans and Democrats are taking two different approaches on getting their word out.
So far, Georgia Democrats and Republicans are emphasizing completely different issues going into this fall's campaign. Governor Brian Kemp championed a restrictive abortion law in Georgia 3 years ago and got a green light from the Supreme Court last week to potentially enact it this summer. But when we tried to talk with Kemp about it this week, the governor stayed mum. Governor, will you stop and answer a question? Republicans have seen polling that shows Georgians overall are still mostly pro-choice.
If you try to use the same talking points that you did in the primary, you could alienate the persuadable voters. So definitely politicians do change.
As a mother of 2 daughters, I am so angry.
Which explains why Democrats, including Stacey Abrams, have talked at great length about abortion with an eye on gaining votes in November.
In order to stop with the foolishness that Republicans are doing right now in the state of Georgia, you have to do one thing and one thing only: vote.
But Republicans see protests against the Supreme Court's abortion ruling, and they hope it reminds voters of the noisy protests of 2020, with images that suburban swing voters found unsettling and a message that often enough called for defunding the police.
All Georgians deserve to be safe.
This was a Republican event on Kemp's behalf today. As crime rates started to spike 2 years ago, Republicans backed police and still want to tie Democrats to a movement that Republicans say would abet criminals.
The defund the police movement in this country has done enormous harm and made our communities less safe.
Republicans also want to talk about jobs, inflation, and gas prices, while Democrats want to talk about issues like health care and guns. Voters this fall will have their hands full.